At first, June did not appear dangerous. It appeared strange, like something beneath reality had shifted slightly out of alignment. The month opened with hidden movement. Priests moved through undergrowth carrying ritual fire through the wilderness. Desert guides revealed themselves only to those willing to share first. Strange forces watched quietly from beneath, the surface waiting to see who people truly were, before revealing their intentions. This reading did not begin with destruction, it began with atmosphere. A feeling that people may experience this month less through logic, and more through instinct, emotional heaviness without visible cause, heightened intuition, exhaustion, strange attraction patterns, a sense that old structures no longer feel stable, and the growing realization that something hidden underneath society has already started moving. Then the reading descended underground. Beneath civilization appeared tunnels, under cities, raiders beneath the foundations of society itself. The cards repeatedly described hidden systems, greed-driven structures, emotional parasites, deception, contamination, predatory environments thriving underneath appearances. And psychologically, this feels deeply connected to June itself. Many people may begin recognizing manipulation they previously normalized, relationships built on hidden agendas, environments that slowly drained them over time, survival patterns mistaken for identity, and emotional systems operating beneath the visible surface of daily life. The reading showed swamp creatures, muddying everything they touched, distractions, interference, emotional fog, confusion loops, people losing clarity through exhaustion and overstimulation. Not every danger appeared monstrous. Some dangers simply exhausted people, slowly until they no longer trusted their own perception. And then the reading entered desecrated ground. Ghost lights lured travelers deeper into the swamp, while drowned figures beneath the water reached upward from below the surface. The symbolism felt less literal and more psychological. Old grief resurfacing, buried emotional residue, fear environments, unresolved history contaminating the present. People adapting to unhealthy systems, so gradually they no longer realized how much energy had already been lost inside them. And then something unusual happened inside the reading itself. One card escaped its category. An island card emerged from outside its own class structure. The card described hidden foundations, floating realities, curse or enchantment, an island appearing stable while secretly alive underneath. And somehow the method of appearance mirrored the symbolism itself. The reading itself began behaving like the message it was trying to deliver. The island became the central metaphor of June. Something people believed was stable may reveal itself to be alive underneath the surface. Not everything is what it first appears to be. And depending on how people approach the crossing ahead, the same environment may either heal them or consume them. Chapter 2, The Foundations Moved. Then the reading changed. What had been hidden beneath the surface suddenly became visible. The atmosphere no longer felt quietly unsettling, it became unstable. And at the center of that instability stood the island, a floating structure suspended above violent water, a place appearing solid while secretly disconnected from any real foundation below. The card described an island that was alive underneath, floating, possibly cursed, possibly enchanted, capable of healing or destruction depending on how it was approached. And because the card itself emerged from outside its own category within the deck, the symbolism became impossible to ignore. June may bring moments where people realize something they trusted was never anchored as securely as they believed. A relationship, a system, a belief, an identity. A structure built around emotional survival rather than truth. The reading repeatedly suggested the surface and the foundation are no longer behaving as the same thing. And then came the wave. A tsunami rose across the reading like emotional force finally exceeding containment. Not small emotional discomfort, not passing stress. Massive pressure. The cards described earthquakes beneath the sea, volcanic eruptions, landslides, monstrous forces capable of reshaping entire coastlines. Psychologically, this feels connected to suppressed emotion finally surfacing, systems reaching overload, collective exhaustion becoming impossible to hide, people emotionally breaking through containment structures they maintained for years. Some may feel this internally. Panic, emotional flooding, identity destabilization, old memories resurfacing, grief suddenly becoming active again. Others may experience it externally. Relationship breakdowns, institutional instability, rapid shifts in perspective. the collapse of emotional agreements people once depended on for safety. And still the reading continued escalating. Then came hail, not symbolic rain. Impact, repeated impact. The cards described slowing conditions, damage, injury, the possibility of serious harm if shelter could not be found. This part of the reading felt deeply connected to nervous system exhaustion. People may feel emotionally battered by constant stimulation, mentally overwhelmed, unable to recover between impacts, forced into survival pacing instead of healthy pacing. And importantly, the reading did not frame this as punishment. It framed it as exposure. The storm was revealing structural weakness, revealing what could no longer withstand pressure. And somewhere inside all of this chaos, the reading kept returning to one question. What remains stable when illusion falls away? Because June does not appear to be a month that supports denial easily. Things hidden beneath the surface may continue surfacing whether people feel emotionally prepared or not. But the reading also repeatedly suggested the destruction itself is not the final destination. The instability appears connected to revelation, the collapse of false stability, the exposure of hidden emotional architecture, the removal of structures that could no longer sustain authentic growth. And beneath the storms, something deeper continued waiting to emerge. Chapter 3: The Treasure People Chase. After the storms, the reading shifted again. Not away from danger, toward temptation, because once foundations begin collapsing, people instinctively search for something to stabilize themselves with. And the reading asked a disturbing question: what do people chase when they are emotionally starving? The cards answered with treasure, buried treasure, unguarded treasure, lost treasure, illusionary treasure, cursed treasure. The symbolism repeated itself over and over, something valuable appearing suddenly in unstable terrain. And psychologically, this feels deeply tied to June itself. Many people may encounter new opportunities, unexpected attention, financial possibilities, romantic attraction, validation, recognition, or emotional attachments that appear meaningful immediately. But the reading repeatedly warned, not every treasure is meant to be carried home. Some rewards arrive specifically to test weakness. One card described treasure intentionally left exposed to lure in the weak-willed. Another revealed treasure that was not real at all, an illusion designed to attract projection and desire. And another described treasure buried beneath storms and shifting dunes, hidden underneath emotional exhaustion and environmental chaos. The reading kept returning to the same psychological tension. People become most vulnerable to illusion when they feel emotionally depleted. That is why this section feels less material and more symbolic of emotional hunger itself. Some may chase status, validation, attention, fantasy, relationships, escapism, false, spiritual certainty, quick solutions to deep emotional wounds. Others may begin realizing something they spent years pursuing never actually contained what they projected onto it in the first place. And yet buried underneath all of this, the reading still suggested authentic value exists. Real treasure exists too, but it requires discernment, because the cards repeatedly showed curses mixed beside blessings, illusions beside opportunities, traps beside rewards. June may therefore become a month where discernment matters more than desire. Not every glowing thing is safe. Not every invitation is healthy. Not every connection is aligned. Not every emotional intensity equals truth. And still, the reading did not become hopeless, because alongside these warnings appeared strong Pentacles energy. King of Pentacles clarified by Four of Pentacles. Nine of Pentacles clarified by Five of Pentacles. Page of Pentacles clarified by Eight of Swords. Wheel of Fortune clarified by Queen of Pentacles. This combination felt deeply connected to stability under pressure, resource protection, fear of loss, survival mentality, and the rebuilding of grounded value systems. Some people may become highly protective this month, emotionally, financially, energetically. Others may realize they built external stability while internally remaining trapped in fear. The Nine of Pentacles clarified by the Five of Pentacles especially feels important. It suggests external independence existing beside internal loneliness, success beside emotional isolation, security beside fear of abandonment. And the Page of Pentacles clarified by the Eight of Swords feels like new opportunities struggling to emerge through old psychological limitations. People may want growth while simultaneously fearing change, want intimacy while fearing vulnerability, want freedom while unconsciously remaining loyal to survival patterns. Then the reading arrived at the Wheel of Fortune, clarified by the Queen of Pentacles. This felt stabilizing, grounded, like June, may ultimately reward those capable of remaining emotionally regulated while the environment changes around them. Not those who panic fastest, not those who chase illusion hardest, but those capable of discernment, patience, observation, and grounded self-worth. Because beneath all the storms and false treasure, the reading keeps quietly asking, what actually nourishes the soul once illusion stops controlling perception? Chapter 4: The Crossing. After the storms, the reading changed again. Not into safety, into transition. The cards no longer focused on collapse alone. They focused on movement through dangerous terrain, crossings, thresholds, bridges between one state of being and another. And at the center of this section stood ancient spirits, moving across open plains visible for all to see. Not hidden, not buried, visible. The reading described elemental spirits reflecting the emotional state of the land itself, animal spirits revealing hidden pathways, ancestral spirits attempting to guide, or sometimes possess, those who encountered them, and prophetic voices speaking cryptic truths to anyone willing to listen carefully. This feels deeply connected to intuition becoming stronger during June. Many people may begin noticing heightened synchronicity, unusual dreams, strong gut feelings, repeating emotional patterns, moments of sudden clarity, or the strange sensation that life itself is trying to communicate symbolically. But the reading repeatedly warned, guidance still requires discernment. Not every voice is truth. Not every emotional pull is alignment. Not every attraction is healthy. Then came the bridge, one of the strongest symbols in the entire reading. A structure suspended over dangerous terrain, chasms, violent rivers, lava flows, places impossible to cross without risk. And every version of the bridge carried instability. Rope bridges with rotting planks, stone bridges with eroded foundations, illusionary bridges designed to lure travelers to their deaths, damaged bridges requiring repair before crossing. Psychologically, this feels incredibly important. Because June may become a month where many people realize the path forward exists, but the crossing itself cannot be avoided. Some people may attempt shortcuts. Others may freeze entirely. Others may try carrying old survival identities across structures that cannot support their weight anymore. And the reading repeatedly suggested, not every bridge is meant to be crossed immediately. Some require patience, repair, discernment, preparation. Then the yin-yang cards entered the reading. Self-care, spirit guides, attraction, and the emotional atmosphere shifted again. After all the storms, hidden systems, false treasure, and collapsing foundations, the reading finally introduced restoration. But even this restoration carried complexity. The self-care card described low energy, depletion, cleansing, withdrawal, the need for retreat and nervous system recovery. This feels extremely aligned with the earlier storm symbolism. Many people may reach emotional exhaustion during June and suddenly realize constant survival pacing is unsustainable. Some may pull away socially. Some may reduce stimulation. Some may stop forcing emotional labor they can no longer sustain. And importantly, the reading did not portray this withdrawal as weakness. It portrayed it as recovery. Then came spirit guides, divine guidance, signs, synchronicity, protection. This card feels deeply connected to the ancient spirits earlier in the reading. As though once the emotional noise quiets, guidance becomes easier to recognize, not louder, clearer. And then came attraction, passion, mutual feelings, emotional pull, resonance. But after everything that came before, this card no longer feels shallow. It feels earned. Because the reading already exposed illusion, projection, false treasure, predatory systems, emotional contamination, survival attachment, and deceptive crossings. So now attraction becomes a different question entirely. What kind of connection remains once illusion falls away? What happens when people stop choosing from fear, scarcity, fantasy, or emotional survival? What kind of resonance appears then? The reading suggests June may become a dividing line between performative connection and authentic connection, between attention and alignment, between emotional intensity and emotional truth. And quietly beneath all of this, the spirits continued watching the crossing unfold. Final chapter, Grace. By the end of the reading, the atmosphere changed completely. The storms had not disappeared, but something inside the collective response to them had shifted. The cards no longer spoke primarily about collapse. They spoke about protection, recovery, community, grace. And after everything that came before, that shift felt enormous. Because this reading traveled through hidden systems, desecrated environments, emotional overwhelm, false treasure, damaged crossings, illusion, survival psychology, and instability. Yet somehow the ending did not feel hopeless. It felt softer, almost sacred. The first card revealed protection. Not perfect safety, not escape from difficulty, protection through the storm itself. The message suggested, even amid uncertainty, many people are more guided than they realize. There may be moments during June where individuals suddenly recognize they survived things they previously believed would destroy them. Some may notice unexpected support, small miracles, help arriving at precise moments, guidance appearing through strange synchronicities, or the quiet realization that they were never as abandoned as fear convinced them they were. Then came unity blooms. This feels deeply important after the earlier sections, involving hidden systems and emotional contamination, because now the reading begins rebuilding connection differently, not through illusion, not through desperation, not through emotional survival, but through authentic alignment. The card described community, harmony, nurturing bonds, shared growth, and people coming together through genuine resonance instead of fear. June may therefore become a dividing line between performative connection and meaningful connection. Some relationships may dissolve entirely, others may deepen unexpectedly, and many people may realize they no longer desire connections requiring self-betrayal to maintain. Then came the message, almost there. Persist with faith. You are on the brink of breakthrough. This card feels less like instant reward and more like reassurance during transition, because the reading repeatedly suggested the crossing itself is exhausting. Many people may feel emotionally tired by June, spiritually tired, mentally overloaded, unsure whether the rebuilding is truly working yet. But the card insists movement is happening even when visible results remain incomplete. And then the reading narrowed into something profoundly personal. Grace. Notice divine influence. The imagery itself felt gentle after the violence of the earlier sections. Soft light, stillness, presence. The message suggested grace may already be operating quietly. Inside situations people assumed were only chaotic. Some blessings may arrive disguised as endings. Some protection may appear disguised as delay. Some healing may begin through collapse itself. And finally, the entire reading arrived at one last message. Listen, your inner child has something to say. After all the storms, the false treasure, the damaged systems, the dangerous crossings, the spirits, the survival structures, the overwhelm, and the illusion, the reading returned to the most vulnerable part of the self, the original emotional signal beneath adaptation, not the survival identity, not the mask, not the role performed for protection, the deeper self underneath it all. And perhaps that is what June has truly been attempting to uncover from the beginning. Because throughout the entire reading, the collective repeatedly encountered buried things, hidden things, lost things, forgotten things, submerged things. And now the final message becomes clear. Some people are not merely rebuilding external structures this month. They are rediscovering parts of themselves that survived quietly beneath the surface the entire time. And maybe the storms were never only about destruction. Maybe they were also about revealing what was still alive underneath, everything that could no longer remain standing. Epilogue: The island returns. And perhaps the strangest part of this entire reading was the island, the anomaly, the card that emerged from outside its own category, a floating landmass appearing stable while secretly alive beneath the surface. Because the more the reading unfolded, the more that image began reflecting the entire collective atmosphere surrounding June itself. A month where hidden systems surface, false stability weakens, old emotional structures strain under pressure, and people begin questioning what is truly supporting them underneath it all. The reading moved through underground tunnels, desecrated environments, storms, false treasure, damaged bridges, spirits, guidance, grace, and finally the quiet voice of the inner child waiting beneath all the noise. And through every stage, one theme repeated itself over and over. Discernment, not fear, not panic. Discernment, because the reading repeatedly suggested June may reveal both illusion and truth simultaneously. Some structures may collapse because they were never stable. Some relationships may deepen because they were always real underneath the surface. Some endings may actually become protection. Some delays may quietly become guidance. And perhaps most importantly, many people may begin reconnecting with parts of themselves, buried underneath years of survival adaptation. The storms in this reading never felt purely destructive. They felt revealing, like emotional weather exposing foundations. So if June feels emotionally strange, intense, symbolic, or deeply transitional for you, this reading suggests you may not be imagining it. But as always, take what resonates, leave what does not, and never surrender your discernment to anyone, including me. Always question, always observe, always verify your sources, always think critically. Symbolic readings are not replacements for mental health care, financial advice, medical guidance, or grounded real-world decision-making. They are reflective tools, psychological mirrors, symbolic frameworks for observation and introspection. And honestly, I appreciate everyone who stayed through this entire experience. This reading became far larger and more cinematic than I originally expected, and I'm curious whether this style connected more deeply for people compared to the normal community posts. If this long-form narrative format resonated with you, let me know. I may continue exploring collective readings this way moving forward. And if you enjoyed the video, feel free to leave a thumbs up, subscribe, or share your own interpretations and experiences below. Sometimes the most important part of a reading is seeing how differently the same symbols speak to different people. Until next time, listen closely to what remains alive beneath the surface.